All right, here with the guys from Flatland Cavalry. We're super pumped for this one. Huge fans. I got to say one thing though, because I realized I was mispronouncing your name wrong, Cleto. I was saying Cleto. That's not correct.
Well, no, that's all right, man. I mean, it's been
Okay.
since kindergarten. It's been mispronounced my whole life. You know what I mean? I think somewhere along the way, I figured out how to enunciate it or whatever to tell people to remember it. I would tell them Cleto like a meadow of grass. That's been the easiest way.
Cleto like a meadow. I have a last name that teachers can never pronounce, but we just had on Pecos in the rooftops or Pecos or he was saying it's Pecos. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to keep saying that. It was just like, I'm from Indiana, Wes is from Illinois. Some of the Texas lingo is kind of tough for us at times, but I don't want to mispronounce Cleto like meadow.
Yeah.
And then we got Jason here, plays drums.
Yes, sir.
So super pumped to have you guys on. The album, Welcome to Countryland, is one of our favorites of the year. Absolutely incredible. Been listening to it nonstop. That album we'll get to, but I kind of wanted to start because your guys' bio on your website and some other spots, it doesn't really give a little bit of the background story of how you guys truly formed, where the name even came from. I always find that interesting. People ask us all the time, how'd you come up with Whiskey Riff? Can you give people like a quick background on how the band was formed or when it was formed, and then kind of how you guys came up with the name as well?
Yeah, totally. I was mentioning to you earlier, getting a mispronounced name, throughout my whole life. I never thought that would go well to continue that, into music. How do you spell that guy's name? How do you pronounce it? So I always wanted to form a band, you know what I mean? The band name seemed to be like naturally what it would, would be easier to go along with, you know what I mean? And I've been jamming with Jason since we're 12 years old, like in 8th grade and stuff. We both venture off to Texas Tech whenever we went to junior college there in Midland and then headed up north to Lubbock, and that's when we started forming the band. And then we went through a couple names. Just sometimes we didn't even have a band name. We would just go up there and play, and cover songs and stuff. And I remember like thinking like, got to come up with a good band name, and something with Flatland in it because of all the terrain out there seemed appropriate. And I was like, Flatlanders, and I had no idea. That's how green I was to the whole Lubbock, history of music, and there was already the Flatlanders before. And so I was like, dang, that really bummed me out. And one of my buddies told me, hey, how about, Texas Cavalry or Cleto and the Texas Cavalry? And I was like, Flatland Cavalry. It just kind of seemed like all, when you're spitballing names and some of them seem cheesy or just whatever, like that one just never seemed cheesy. So, and it fit it's a band, Cavalry, it's a group, Flatland, it just kind of worked out that way and stuck ever since.
It makes a little more sense too if you've ever spent any time in Lubbock or the Panhandle or Midland, Odessa, where we grew up. It's flat, no trees. The running joke is, if you look hard enough, you can see the back of your head, far in the distance. So it's just one of those things.
What were some of the early band names?
What was it? The Dancing Crows?
Dancing Crows it was in the hat. It was in the hat.
It was in the hat, yeah.
But it never, I don't think that one went, obviously. I mean,
No.
we did a show one time, it's Cleto and the Noise, which is kind of super indie.
Yeah.
But that didn't stick, But yeah, Flatland Cavalry, it's been mispronounced and misspelled still, but no name change since 2004.
I mean, I always feel like when I'm writing, I have a hard time not writing like Calvary, like the church names, like
That's where
Calvary
Jesus
Temple.
died. Yeah.
Right? And I'm always like, wait,
Calvary.
which one is it? Is it and then I'm like, all right, I got to make sure I spell this right every single time. But I think a much better name than Cleto and the Noise. You'd have to sound like Cage the Elephant to be Cleto and the Noise.
Yeah, man. I mean, whenever you're in the very, beginning stages of like playing music, in a live setting and just jam, you're just like, you come up with like 50 bad band names before you ever think of anything that's like maybe we shouldn't be called, the blood farts. Like, everyone's coming to our shows,
Did you guys, were you playing in college? Like, you hear the stories, of artists a lot of times, like playing in college and make some money on the side. Did you do that, or was it kind of after college you guys got into the music more?
Yeah, we got started. There's the bar scene on Texas Tech is called Broadway, and there's a couple of places, with the little corner stage. And we got started playing Garth Brooks covers, and we even had an R. Kelly cover. I think it was a remix to Ignition. No, but that was way back in the day. No, but we got started doing that, and we'd play. Also, a couple buddies would be in a fraternity, sorority, all that stuff, and the student body of Texas Tech, they'd get to know us, and then everyone would go back home to whatever metro area they're from during Christmas. And it's actually kind of how we got our first steps, touring around Texas.
Playing in college, yeah, and just using the time there at school, going to school to, really be able to. The dream was to play music all along, but school is the way to. It was kind of the way just to be there. It was a Trojan horse, I guess. And it was like Jason said, I mean, you go play for a bunch of your peers and stuff, and they go back and spread it to Fort Worth and Austin. And by the time we were able to break out of there after college, after we graduated, we'd have little transplants of fans that would come spread the word and tell us, and we kind of spread out grassroots that way,
For people who want to follow in your footsteps, is actually enrolling in the college necessary, or can you just move to the town and just be like, yeah, I go here. I don't go to class.
Man, I don't know if that's necessary. I really don't. I feel, looking back at it all and trying to make sense of it all, I feel very grateful for the opportunity that my parents gave me to go to school, because I feel like I did learn a lot of stuff out in, the educational realm, but also the things you don't learn in school, like those Turnpike lyrics. It's like, I feel like one of the things I did learn while I was going to school was one of the teachers said, just be present. You don't want to go to the bar scene afterwards at happy hour and talk to your coworkers or whatever. You don't have to drink. That may not be your thing, but he's like, just show up, get a glass of soda water, be present. And I think, being there at Tech allowed me to be present in Lubbock. We got to dive head first in the Blue Light Live, that venue out there, and just go to a songwriter night every Monday. And I had the freedom to do that because I was a student. I wasn't working all, I did have a job there doing construction at a glass company, but outside of, whenever you're in your early 20s, as far as like I said, your parents kind of allowed you that very privileged opportunity to go to school and, experience that time. And I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah, you look back at Wes and I joke about student loans, and I look back at our experience. That's where we met in college, and I was like, yeah, I maybe learned a thing or two, but when you look back, you're kind of like, man, that was a lot of money for I don't know really what. like it just takes real life experience, whether you're starting a business like we did, or whether you can do a little end of year, senior year project about starting a business, but it's not real. There's no money involved. There's no livelihoods involved. So it's like, I look back and I'm like, I appreciate, like you said, the opportunity, but you kind of go, man, like, it's almost like you were like a caged animal waiting to finally like go out there. That's how I felt like being creative. So for you guys too, like you hit the ground running when you left school, road warriors. How many days a year were you touring where you guys became like full-time, like as a band? I imagine it was a crazy amount of days throughout Texas, and then started to spread across the US.
Yeah, man, since Come May came out, we got a small booking agent, and that got us regionally, when Humble Folks came out, we, went to a bigger agency, and they even got us spread out further, we've been on the road a while, man. Devoted to it. Like you said, we're not getting real jobs out of school. We're using our time to go spread the word. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's been a lot of days. I never lost count of them.
There'd be times, Reed, our guitar player, he as well went to school. He was the last to finish up. And me and Cleto were already out of school, and the rest of the guys, and he'd still be finishing up his degree, having a show in Houston 8 hours away, but a final the next day. And at the end of that day, driving to Dallas Fort Worth area. We did that. Reed and I think we pulled a good 36 hours with no sleep, 2 shows, a final, and 1,000 miles in an F-150 just to make it all work, at one moment. So it was
we had youth on our side for sure.
youth and caffeine amongst other things.
Right. Yeah.
Dude got straight D's, but he got that degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, man, I'll still have not nightmares, but weird, like they're like little moments, whether I'm daydreaming or I'm actually asleep, I don't know, but I'll think like I'll wake up and be like, I didn't pass that class and I never got it.
Dude,
Oh my
I've been
God.
having that. I have that a lot. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I think I read something like with stress, or when you got a lot going on, you guys are building your empire, so to speak, or your legacy. And like, we're trying to do it on our end. And then if you have like a stressful day or whatever, I tend to have those dreams as well. Mine are more like, I'm right about to finish college and I realized I forgot to take a class I was supposed to take. And it's just like this, like I wake up with this anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, thank God it's good. Like I'm good. I'm 30 something. Like I'm fine. Like that's funny. Oh man. So yeah, the music's the album Welcome to Countryland came out this year. It's amazing. What was the process like for you guys recording that? Did you go in with like I don't want to say a theme, but did you go in with an idea of what you wanted to write about, or was it kind of like a long organic process? Writing it, putting it together, picking the right songs that you guys kind of came up with?
Man, I think as far as how it all came together, like as an idea or like a big idea or a thesis or anything, it wasn't that way. It's usually just writing songs for the sake of writing a song and whatever's on your heart and soul. And there's always, at least that's what I've always viewed our music to be. It's like kind of like a mosaic. Like you always have these weird outlier songs like Coyote or Devil Off My Back. They don't fit they just kind of expand upon what you can do sonically. But as far as like a collective story, I think I've always kind of just favored like just write a song and we'll see which ones want to stick together, naturally. And we had a song called Country Is that I showed to our new producer, Jake Gear. And he was really, super excited about it and started to, see that there was, a bigger like picture of like, country music is, we've traveled across the country and seen all these different things with our own eyes and talked to people, been boots on the ground. We've witnessed it, you write about those things and it kind of started to take shape of like, our what is Flatland Cavalry? What are you guys about? What is your music? Is it country? Or people will tell us, I don't like country, but I like you guys. I like what you do. And I think, the idea of the album came from, like I said, just the songs plopped up and they all look like they should be cut and put in a bouquet together, but that as far as the big idea of the project and it being about, this vast country we live in, how yet, this is our interpretation of the way it all looks and sounds. But, I was writing songs in Southern Oklahoma. The guys were back at home working on their crafts. Jason was working on drums, Reed was learning fiddle. Whenever we meet up together, during the last summer, the pandemic was a whole different animal that everyone was, the way that it came on and everyone was like freaking out and quarantining and everything. And so we all just kind of did our own collective jobs separately so that whenever we came together, the guys added their parts to them. We started to, work them up and in a long-winded way, it was a whole brand new process. We had to adapt, but we came together and recorded it in Nashville at Sound Emporium. And, the guys kicked ass and we tracked 15 songs over 3 days and with the new producer in a big boy studio. And it was, I think all I can say is I think everyone was like focused as far as like, man, this is crazy. We're getting to do this again. We made it through the summer, we're putting it in the ground. We're, I don't know. That's the way I always felt about it. Like and then we get the mixes back and they start listening to them and they sound awesome. It's like, oh man, we actually did that, but that's my tale of it. Jason's got his own version. So
yeah,
whatever you elaborate.
like going off what he's saying, once COVID hit, we were doing 120 shows a year, just vanning it, busing it from Seattle to Key West, from New York to San Diego. And then once COVID hit, obviously, just like everybody, forced to stay home. First couple of weeks were awesome, just being back with your loved ones. And then I guess it's the rambling fever or, whatever, you get moving. And then, you kind of just forced to think about all your memories or, on the road and everything. And, once Cleto had these books to this list of songs, I think it was a lot easier to kind of look at it and see, man, this is a lot of the experiences that has happened over the last couple of years, for whatever it is. And it's almost like, I don't know, correct me if I'm like almost like a memoir from our tales of the road in some way. So it was that when it came to be, like he was saying too, it was a long way from the garage in Lubbock where we had initially started up to Sound Emporium, where the greats, the greats had cut albums and everything. So it was just kind of a come to aha moment, so to speak. But yeah, it was great. It was fun making it.
About, 7 years since we graduated, around that time, or 7 years since we kind of formed, like all the stuff you go through in that amount of time for it to lead you to Sound Emporium in Nashville to make, I think we guys collectively, that speak for all of us, that, it's one of our favorite projects we've made as far as like we're proud of it. We, the songs, the production quality, like everything, like I think it's, grateful for that. I mean, there was a part during the pandemic when we didn't, know how we were going to survive or, to get a real job or something. But yeah, man, it's been a hell of a year, as Parker McCollum would say.
Right. Yeah. And I had a question here. You guys seem very, very humble, but you guys also had
humble folks.
Yeah, you had a trajectory and you guys were grinding it out, but like once people got wind of you, especially because we've been, we're on Twitter or whatever all the time, there just became this like moment. I don't know exactly when, a couple of years ago, maybe, Wes, but you just started seeing Flatland Cavalry everywhere, the name, boom, 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 boom. And then it was just like, it was like a tidal wave, similar to a guy we'll get to later that you guys have worked with, and like a Luke Combs, who co-wrote a song. Do you, like, a problem that I think Wes and I have with like having a business is you're like so locked in, you don't zoom out enough and kind of look at it and go, oh shit, we did this. Look at where we're at. Look at where we were. You always feel like you're still on the grind, still like you were right when you started. Still, like, I think that's a good thing, to not let, oh, like, we're good. Like, look at this. You seem like the type of guys that like aren't going to get comfortable. You always want to make music that's better than the last song you put out. Accurate or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the circle we have around us, as far as the women that we have as well, or, the wives and fiancés.
How many wives do you have?
Yeah, right. Man, yeah, just the circle around us, man. I feel like people are just excited, that are close to us about it as we are, and they're so supportive too, that they're just as locked in sometimes as well. And ideas like from our manager Dylan, who he swung the axe with us on the road for 2 years, so he knows what it's like, getting on the road, and then now he's kind of behind a desk over here in Nashville, and man, it's keeping us going, and we're relatively young, still in our 20s, and we know that there's a lot of people that have done it before that have carved away through this, so
yeah. I think that at least some, my perception of it all is, I told this to someone one time, and it kind of stuck with me because I've been asked this before, but I always told them that I thought the person driving the rocket ship, the way that he perceives the situation versus the kid on the ground watching it in the sky, is two different points of view. And the guy in the cockpit is very focused and doesn't want to explode and blow up, but it's so I think it's awesome. I think both are good. I think our folks back home are watching every little step. They would go watch us play Lone Star Bar for nothing, for peanuts, and a bunch of people fist fighting each other, pissing in the corner. So to see the gradual progression of things, I think from afar people are like, man, you guys are crushing it, and we're like, hold it on for dear life, but
Right.
I think like Jason said, the people that we're grateful to be surrounded with, our families that we come from, the support that we've had since day one has helped, temper us to now we're, like you said, playing with the big boys, you know what I mean? It's like, but that's okay. It's not all right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I had a phone call come in.
It's okay.
But yeah, I think that, I don't know. I'm grateful that we're still doing this. I feel that we've got to see a lot of stuff. It means a lot to a lot of people, like our folks back home that don't get to travel the world and see all the stuff. They're living vicariously through us. The experiences that we bring back, we write about them, we record them. It just keeps, giving back into itself. But I hope we can keep doing it, and I hope that we don't ever turn into jerks along the way. You know what I mean? I hope we can. We choose when we get out of it, and for what reasons.
Yeah.
Well said.
Absolutely. I love the rocket ship analogy, which is probably why you're such a great songwriter. But like I've never heard it that way, but like it's kind of it resonates with me.
Yeah.
And speaking of great songwriters, I feel like you, Cleto, specifically have been compared a lot to Evan Felker at times, as well as the entire band being compared to the Turnpike Troubadours. Is that something that you guys see? Because I see it a lot, but I don't know if you guys are kind of just doing your own thing and don't pay attention to a lot of the noise. Is that something that you see? And also, if so, is that kind of like a weight where you're like, ah, shit, don't say that. Like, I don't.
No, man. I mean, I think you develop one. Those aren't bad things to be compared to. I mean, they're
Right.
really great musicians, great band, great songwriter. I think doing this, you can't like lean too much you can't lean on the criticism, or you can't lean on the praise. You just kind of got to go your own way. We're all influenced by, what we listened to growing up. How many bands in Texas, grew up with fiddles amidst, Randy Rogers Band, Josh Shabbat Band, Jason Bourne and the Stragglers, Turnpike Troubadours, George Strait, Ace and the Whole Band, a lot of fiddle, I think a band like Turnpike, whenever they came around, the songwriting of Strait, it was still a commercial sound as far as rhythmically, and, it makes you want to sing along. But as far as like telling a story, I think Evan Felker did just things people had never heard before on the radio. It's still radio play, but the stories and whatever. And I really was a big fan of his, growing up, or in my journey of it all, you know what I mean? But I think definitely you probably will sound like, who you've been listening to, you know what I mean? But I definitely would, like I said, I'll take it as a compliment to the band, and, whoever said that in regards to myself. But it's been a dream come true to be able to play music and take your show on the road and do all these things, and have guys like Evan Felker, by some stroke of chance, comes to my wedding, and
I saw that.
Things like that, where it's like,
I didn't see that.
Just,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't say that to boast or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's cool that, people that you look up to, Randy Rogers, he's written down 20 years of wisdom on a bar napkin and given it to me. And he was my first concert, and you run into people like that, it's more than, stories that people say, or, gossip or whatever, or glory and fame and all that stuff. It's real people at the end of the day, and I'm glad that their name's getting spread around amidst stars to say, hey, these guys all came before this band, so it's been an interesting, strange trip, but it's been fun.
Now you guys live in Nashville now, so you went from Texas to Nashville. I got to imagine there's a little bit of an adjustment there. We've talked about Nashville quite a bit on this podcast in terms of what we don't like about it and what we do like. was it a big change? Like there seems to be like guys like yourself, and then there's a whole other section of the bros that got their hats on to go get coffee and want to look perfect, and it's 8 a.m. and you know what I'm talking about. So is it noticeably annoying or weird, or are you guys in your own kind of little thing in Nashville? You're like, this is what we do. We're in this area. We're not kind of, mucking it up with these types. And because I always get the feeling when we go west, and correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously it's a booming city, but it seems so, because we're from like Chicago originally, lived there forever, been in school there, massive city. Then we go to Nashville, we're like, oh, this is so small. It seems so small. Like everywhere you go, everybody's kind of like checking each other out, kind of trying to be cool, kind of look cool. It's like
everybody knows everybody.
Guys, it's Wednesday at 2:00. You're having a beer. Chill the fuck out. Like you know what I mean? Like that wore on us over the years when we would visit. You guys are there probably to make music, to write good songs. Obviously, was it a huge adjustment though, or not really?
I think, well, the first things first, we already know we're not cool. We're just a bunch of nerds just trying to make
me, I would say
like,
you guys are way cooler. You're way cooler than
yeah, dude. We're a bunch of nerds.
Cool, man.
Yeah, right.
I got my dog right here asleep, man. I'm trying to.
No, but I think Isabel put it pretty good. There's a lot of burgers in this town, and nobody's forcing you to eat McDonald's or Burger King or the most famous burgers. There's a lot of burgers. There's a lot of different types of music, a lot of creatives here. Man, and our choice to come over here was, when we started this in Lubbock, we'd get that gig on Broadway, then on the other side of town, then 2 hours away in Amarillo, then 4 hours away in Fort Worth, and then it was like a grassroots following. And when we got with some management over here, it was kind of that same logic. If there's just getting that grassroots following on in Tennessee and the Carolinas and Kentucky and a lot of places where they do like our sound, like that fiddle, folk, rock, country type of feel, So it just kind of presented itself in such a way where it's like, all right, let's do it.
The band's always moved where the music's led them. I feel like, moving to Lubbock by means of Midland. It's an hour and a half north. You can go 6 hours south to Austin. All signs led to Lubbock. Then the band got started. All those dreams came to fruition. Oh man, Lubbock's it's an outpost. We got to get more centralized. The band moves to Fort Worth. Things start growing of stature, whatever. Like Jason says, we have opportunities with management, songwriting, all these other avenues, good studios, whatever. Signs pointed to Nashville. We're here writing this chapter currently, but I think if our focus is on the music, and the songs and creating a better album than we did before, the last one, as far as a personal goal for us, like I think it's all pointed to, being here. And as far as, the culture here and, how people dress and everything. I mean, I don't really have time to, like by the time we come home from the road, man, I mean, we're here on the couch, or we'll go get, like you said, go have a few beers with our buddies. But man, I mean, yeah, I truly do consider being a Nashville being like a kind of a second Lubbock. It's a place to learn, to grow, develop further. I mean, if we don't learn anything from our time here, then we wasted more time than we did in Lubbock back at Texas Tech.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Next stop, LA.
Hey, dude, I mean, I won't say, I don't want to say I'll never do that, because if I do, then I'm going to really be
Cleto on Sunset.
Well, speaking of that, and I don't know if you guys, I'll ask you at the end if you have any pet peeves just in general, not with Nashville, but like the music industry, country music industry. But do you guys have like pet peeves where because you're maybe not played on mainstream radio, but you're massive, like you can sell crazy tickets and all these things, but there is an element of the music business, probably in all genres to an extent, but where a lot of the artists, maybe they're on the charts and but they can't sell tickets. They don't have, you mentioned Jason, the grassroots fans. I think fans can see through the bullshit when an artist is kind of it's formulaic. It's not coming from a real place. You guys clearly are. and even you just saying it's about the songs, it's about making the next album even better. Do you kind of see the industry and having like, man, that's frustrating that so much of it can turn to just money, just making the money, not necessarily worried about, because for me, that's a huge pet peeve. It's like the lab that just pumps out the number ones that we all know is kind of like bullshit, right? Does that kind of annoy you, or do you not even pay attention to it? Because you guys don't need the radio. We all know that. So
it might be nice though.
it might be nice. Yeah. It might be nice to see like a few extra cars in the driveway, but like,
dude, I mean, those are great questions. I mean,
I know it's kind of convoluted, but
what's that?
I know it's kind of convoluted, but like I think we became a little jaded throughout the years of kind of seeing the business, the nuts and bolts of the business. And it, quite frankly, pissed us off a lot when certain artists aren't played on radio who are on a major label. Like, how the fuck, you get pissed. Like, that artist has all these amazing fans, grassroots fans like you guys have. So
Built
I think we just just built on the road. Does any of that, it's toxic to let that in probably into your mindset, but
man, I think absolutely. I mean, if you meditate on, man, I don't ever want to get to a place where because I do think that's where unhappiness comes from, is like comparing yourself to where, man, where's this guy at? Why am I not there? Versus we got great wisdom from our first producer, Scott Ferris in Lubbock, Texas, at Amusement Park Studio. He'd say, everyone's talking trash. Everyone's going to say, who's going to do this? I'm going to, he's like, nose to the grindstone, do good work. Those are the two things you ever got to remember. And he would like drill that into you. And when conversations like this arise, like, hey, we could talk about this for hours, but it's like, just work on your art and get it out to you. And if you have to carry it over, mile by mile and do it that way. And, it might be more successful in the grand scheme of things just because it's not plastered on a billboard of sorts, for everyone to know. I wish I had another, comparison as far as like, I don't know, things that like household items, or like you mentioned, McDonald's and Whoppers, like there's got to be other.
I think everybody's got their, they're all coming from different places, and everyone's got their own goals. Like, to me, I figure, man, some people may just want to get in, get out in 5 years, make their money, because that G-Wagon's not going to pay for itself, right? Like you're saying, like it might be nice to have an extra ski-doo or two. I feel like our goal was always just like, we always had fun just creating the music that we were doing. And you can go fast by yourself or far with a group. And we chose to hit the road because we felt that was like, I don't know, the most genuine way to connect with people, just face to face, hear our show. It's what it's about. And there's plenty of ways to do it all, so, I mean, in the end, that stuff doesn't necessarily bug me, because I guess we know what we're doing is it's kind of just what we want to do. We want to hit the road. We're curious about the new places that we play, and we wake up, hit that coffee shop on the corner, and oh, there's a brewery over there, and like we enjoy traveling and meeting new people, and I don't know, just doing that, making our fans that way. And so it's never really turned me the wrong way. Is it a different way of doing it? Absolutely. Going through the machine and or what people say, but no, it's
I think for us, just as fans too, whether it's for you guys or whoever else, it's speaking of like being, I think we just get annoyed. We're like, come on, like you got to listen to the, it's like we built Whiskey Riff as like a voice of the fan, because we are fans. We never call ourselves journalists. We built like a following and a brand and a thing and a voice and a thing, and it took off, and Wes was able to drop out of law school, and it's because we approach it as fans. You know what I mean?
After 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years and $200,000.
Just, so I think I like asking that question to artists because it helps me kind of be less annoyed at times. It's like, I know you guys aren't paying attention. You guys got your head on right. But I think as fans, even your fans probably on Twitter, if we did a search, they probably get into arguments with other, like when they see like a number one on mainstream. It's like, it's funny. I like that. Like I like the fans fighting for the artist. There's a lot of artists that don't have that and that have number ones up the ass. You know what I mean?
And I think with
Go
you
ahead.
guys too, like one of the cool things is that you've surrounded yourself with people in Nashville who I love, like Haley Witters, who's on the album, Lainey Wilson, who's a co-writer, Luke Combs, who's a co-writer, you know, and it's like you guys got this crew in Nashville as well. That's like some like people that I look up to as far as songwriters and artists and musicians themselves. And like, how did that all kind of come together? Because I know in Nashville, you tend to like kind of like fall into these like groups and these crews and, oh, I write with these people and I write with these people and I record with these people. And Cleto,
Well,
you
Luke-
obviously have your
well,
wife on there too.
Luke Combs gets called a sellout because he got really famous. And that kind of annoys me because he's the same guy. There's a long list of people you could be like, that guy's a sellout. But Luke Combs to me is not. Like he blew up for reasons that are pretty obvious to me. So I love when I see a guy like that working with people like yourselves, because it's I think fans are too like, oh shit, nice, that's legit, you know, like to Wes's point.
I think there's, to answer your question, I agree with you, man. I think people that say he's a sellout, that's whatever. I roll my eyes because, like you said, we've got to meet this guy and he's super humble and cool and talented, and he's always written good songs. He's always given people something to think about or chew on or enjoy, and that, you know, seems very genuine and real, authentic. You know, we got to open up for him in December of was it 19?
19, yeah.
Yeah, December of 19 in San Antonio. Crazy opportunity. That was when I believe, as far as like, when you hear the name Luke Combs, you associate it with sold out arena tour shows. You know? And you're like, wow, this guy's killing it. This is crazy. I can't believe that was our good news of the day. You know, fast forward to this day, you know, months have gone by. We put in some preparation. You know, we don't want to embarrass ourselves in front of 16,000 people. So we, you know, we rehearse and we build a little show with the 40 minutes they've given us, and we play a show. I feel like we do a real good job. So much so that, you know, I think it caught the attention of their band and their crew, like the way that we handled ourselves as far as like doing our jobs, and our crew, like our guys they're badass, man. They work hard and they're professional. And I think the response that Luke's camp heard from the fans, as far as people in San Antonio, are like, who is this band? You know, so, you know, word gets back to Cappy, you know, Luke's manager.
Yep.
And we get a good report card, I guess, you know, and that's it. We play the show, the book's closed. We never think we're going to play for Luke Combs ever again or anything. And, you know, in January, the following, you know, month, we decide to part ways with our management, and we promote our tour manager, Dylan, who is now our manager, Dylan Wright. And Dylan gets a phone call, you know, 20 minutes after, from Chris Cappy inquiring about the job. Who are these? I heard Flatland's, you know, made a change. I'd like to, you know, fill in my application or whatever. I'm interested. And so Dylan's, you know, shitting his pants, like, holy shit, man, this is crazy, you know? And he's like, you know, I heard from Luke's camp, I mean, everybody, that you guys played well. The fans loved you. I'm intrigued. Like I'm interested. And I heard you guys are made a change. So I just want to get to know you guys more. And through that process, that door being open, you know, come May of, no pun intended, we ended up, you know, shaking hands over Zoom because the world's on fire. So we shake hands with Chris with Cappy over Zoom, and now he's our manager. You know, we eventually end up moving here, you know, but I mean, he got us in contact with Jake Gear. Jake's, you know, his fiance's Haley Witters, you know, that's how we met Haley. Cappy introduced me to Lainey Wilson. We wrote over Zoom, wrote Meantime. Just all these people that, you know, the webs you weave. And we just kind of, like Scott Ferris told us, you know, nose down and do some good work. And it led us to a bunch of really awesome opportunities. And it really has, since, you know, that one show that we got to play that we didn't, you know, we didn't whiff, you know, went well.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it led to a bunch of very, very crazy, a song with Haley Witters and writing one with Luke Combs, writing one for the thing. I mean, it's
crazy. I mean, you guys are young artists, but for any artist coming up, like it's such a great, seizing the opportunity, so to speak, never taking a day off, not lollygagging and not like because you're like the Tom Brady story, right? He comes in for an injury. Next thing you know what I mean? It's like, if you guys went out there and just were like, whatever, maybe some of that stuff doesn't happen. So it's because we've seen shows, man, where it's like the guy's half asleep and we're like, you're collecting a check and you're getting the fuck out of here. So when that comes through on stage, that you guys take every day like it's your last, I mean, that's where fans come from, in my opinion. And we were going to concerts well before we started Whiskey Riff. So it was like, we gravitated towards those type of shows where you're kind of hooked in the whole time. And I mean, that's awesome. And I saw you actually posted, I'm a Crocs converter. I wear Crocs now because of Luke Combs. And Cleto, I think you posted it a while back. You had like the Luke Combs pair, or a different pair, but similar. Are they not the most comfortable things to wear? I don't even care. Once you're married, who gives a shit? Like, you look whatever.
Totally, man. I used to be on the other side. I used to judge, Crocs just right off the bat, be like, man, those look terrible. And not so much the person wearing them, but I was like, man, I'm never buying one of these. But I was gifted a pair by Mike at Hippies and Cowboys, mailed me a pair, and they were the best garden shoes I've ever owned, man. They're some badass little shoes.
Yeah, they're comfy as hell. We did a giveaway for Luke's pair, and it was like one of our biggest responses ever. And then I want to say Tyler Childers, before COVID hit, posted some story on his Instagram of a guy that got struck by lightning, but because he was wearing Crocs, he was fine.
The lightning went back up in the sky.
So he was like, wear your Crocs.
That's,
I was like, there's the all the approval you need right there. But yeah, that's good shit, man.
Touché.
Let's pivot a little bit. Speaking of kind of going back to, West Texas and the Panhandle and stuff, the Panhandlers project, arguably my favorite supergroup of all time.
Wow,
not to put the pressure on you, but
it was pretty bad.
How did that all come together? Because to me, that was like one of the coolest things I've seen in the country music world in probably the last 5-10 years. And just like such a fan of all the individual artists. And like just the way that how did that all come together?
Yeah, I mean, and whenever this came together, it was all pre, living in Nashville, Luke Combs, Cappy days, Josh Abbott gave me a call, and we were in DC, and he was like, hey man, I would have this idea of, starting this group. There wasn't even a name to it. It's just like whatever, right? Kind of a la Flatlanders, Joe Ely, Butch Hancock, Jimmy Dale Gilmore. I've asked John Bauman and I've asked Will Green, and they said that they're in. I want to make a record about songs of West Texas, like, 70s, 80s kind of vibe. Are you interested? And my dad gave me advice a long time ago, and I think he knew once I caught the bug of, getting to play for people and writing and stuff, like that, this is what I was going to do with my life. And I would tell him, man, Corky's Bar and Grill, I'm going on a tangent here, forgive me.
No.
He's like, I was like, man, they called me, but we're not, I don't think we're ready, and he's like, you're being a chicken shit. He's like, this is what you want to do with your life, then do it, go play that gig. And so, all right, call Jason. Hey man, load up your drums in the back of your truck. Let's do this, and give you the confidence to go play for some bikers or whatever. But the same kind of idea of like, kind of heard my dad's voice, I guess, like, this is a cool opportunity. You're going to turn it down because you can list a bunch of things that you're not prepared to do, or you want to, be a part of something new and cool and whatever. And I just told him, sure, and the way that I always kind of viewed the project was like, however we learned to make this record, working in another, all I've known is with these guys and working with, we were working out of just Lubbock, out of that studio at the time in the music park. And this let us go make a record in a new studio, record on tape. How does this work? And I feel like I can go, report back to these guys and, this is what we learned, all these things, you know what I mean? Like, as a learning experience, writing songs for a project that is off of your, your path that you're already carving. And it's like, for anything, it was an outlet to just be more creative and exactly. To trust writing a song about like Panhandle Slim or something that's like, that's not going to go on the Flatland Cavalry record, but it's just it was a outlet to just be totally creative as possible. And all the things that, I was afraid of, apprehensive about at first, all got checked off the list. Learn a little bit more about songwriting, how to make a record. There's a lot of things that, not a lot, but things that you wish you could change about certain vocal takes, whatever. But all in all, it was just Josh calling me, asking me. Next thing you know, we track songs on tape and it's out to the world. Pandemic happens. We only played one show.
I was gonna say, never got to tour any of it.
We played one show post COVID, and we're working on another record. But
nice.
Yeah, man, just try to balance it all, and like I said, let the songs decide where they want to go, and put out stuff that people can listen to when they're bored, driving.
No, it's great.
Around West Texas.
And we love all the guys, but we've had Josh on the podcast and hung out a couple times now, and the guy's a hoot. Just a great guy to hang. Just great guy to be around. I love his approach to like looking at artists coming up and like building your own like legacy and brand. Like he just has like a good outlook on things and like an energy that I'm like, oh, this guy's a cool guy to talk to and learn from, who's done it.
Texas Tech guy too, right?
Oh yeah,
He is.
Yeah, him and Will were both tech guys, and Bauman did some time there at South Plains. He's got a song called Bible Belt, worth checking out. Kind of tells a story
nice.
about. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Jason earlier. You mentioned something about when you guys started touring, you said caffeine and other stuff. We like to ask because I'm here in Colorado. We have, a lot of good stuff here. And when you say other stuff, is it a little weed, a little edibles? Is there mushrooms involved in kind of creative process? Or are you just talking about like what's going on? What is the other stuff?
Coca-Cola.
If you've heard the song Missing You, which is one of our most beloved songs on a live show, as far as people love to sing out the cigarettes and Adderall part. But based on a true story, that's all I'll say. More or less, sometimes it's like the narrative of old trucker trying to, get through the night, trying to make it to the next stop.
Speedball Tucker.
Speedball Tucker, dude. But
it's crazy. There's a study.
No, man, it's been a long run, and sometimes you got to learn lessons the hard way, and sometimes for me that just happens quite a bit.
Yeah, no, trust me. For me, it was getting married was like step one into kind of like Wes and I like not over drinking, or like we've removed I think 3 podcasts where Wes took an edible, just because it's completely like you don't even know what the hell's going on.
You think it's funny, and then you listen to it back, and you're like, "Dude, you're an idiot. You
it's
didn't say
funny
a word
if somebody
for
else
20 minutes."
is like involved,
Sure.
But
Yeah, it's like,
when it's just you guys kind of like, or us just kind of sitting there, you're kind of like, oh shit. But yeah, because
maybe it's not Whiskey Riff. You call that one something else, like Chiba Chew Riff or shit.
Right.
Yeah. Chiba Chew.
That could be a spinoff.
Creatively, it's crazy. Like I always point to this study. My wife would say, "Hey, drink so much on the podcast." I'm like, I saw a study that was like 3 drinks like increases creativity by a certain amount of percent. I get that, but like after 3, then you kind of become dumb. Probably like is probably how the study went. But I totally like. Have you guys? You mentioned earlier about a guy pissing in the corner back in the day when you were playing.
I think that was the legend of Co Wetzel. That was probably.
Speaking of Co, that we've said the story a couple times, so excuse the listeners, but we've never been so fucked up in our lives. Like he's not even going on. Like we did a podcast with him, and then he's supposed to go on stage at like 8:00 at Joe's in Chicago, and like I can't even see. Like I'm blind. I am completely blind at 8:00. I got to go home to my wife. She might have even been pregnant at the time. Like I was just like, I got to get out of here. I didn't even see him go on the stage. I was gone before he went on the stage.
I stuck around.
Yeah, Wes stuck around. Are you good enough? Are you guys good about maybe you have like a ritual, pre-show shot or something, but are you pretty good about that? Question 1. And then not overdoing it. And then question 2 is what's the craziest thing you guys have seen as a band, maybe from day 1 to now? Anything you talking about fist fights and all kinds of crazy shit. I assume you guys playing in Texas have seen some crazy shit.
Some battle stories.
I feel like everyone had a lot of fun in college, and we had a lot of before the band started really getting productive, you know, so like if anything, that kind of primed us, you know, like we're for the road, and then the road will always beat you and it'll always win. So like I think now, having done this for a little while, you try to exercise, you know, moderation and things that maybe don't sound exciting and fun, but definitely are more exciting and fun than deathbed hangovers.
Jason's over here is like, I don't know.
Jason's like,
moderation, even moderation itself.
Moderately moderation.
Yeah. No, we have a couple good habits. I think you know, we like to have a couple beers up in the front lounge, play our playlist, and we call it Liquid Hour. It's the hour before the show starts, mostly just for the psychosomatic part of listening to music, getting together, just kind of getting in that form of, man, we're about to be with people, linked up with people. I mean, essentially we're listening to music that they're listening to as well while we're playing.
What's on the playlist?
Oh man, a lot of Billy Currington lately, his older stuff.
What? I was about to say, you better not be that fucking new album, dude. Have you seen that shit?
No comment. But yes, the older, that's the stuff, you know, when we were in high school.
Good Directions. Yeah, that was great.
Gun to my head, if you say they were gonna say Billy Currington, I would have said no fucking way.
No, yeah.
No, but we grew up listening to Billy Currington too. Like the Good Directions, Billy Currington. That shit was legit.
Even must be doing something right. That's gotta be on the baby making playlist.
When I saw that video, I go, I gotta be a country singer. Like, you remember that video? He's just like with some like
on the
supermodel, like in Jamaica. I'm like, oh, this is what it's like. I was like in high school. yeah.
Reality. But we play. Who is it? When Wesley, our fiddle player, comes on, it's like strictly bluegrass, you know, or Allison Cross Union Station, or when I come on, I'll play stuff like The Band or something a little groovier. I'll throw Stevie Wonder on there. We've all got our own eclectic, different kind of sounds that we like. So it's just good time music only.
You mentioned you guys covered Garth Brooks. You guys pay attention to the whole Garth Brooks social media, Tom Segura thing, or you guys do?
I have not seen it.
Oh my God. It's too much to explain. Maybe Jason.
I'm trying to figure out what it is myself, but
Garth Brooks got hijacked by a comedian, Tom Segura's social media account. It's just all comments about, where are the bodies? I need closure. Where's my wife? Please tell me where my wife is.
The theory is that Garth Brooks is a serial killer.
Cleto,
go look at any of his
we'll send you the article. Wes, you should send them the article that you wrote explaining it, because it's if you're bored and you're just on the bus or whatever, just go to Garth Brooks' Instagram account and look at the comments. You will piss yourself laughing. It's completely hijacked. It's completely hijacked. He seems a little disconnected with reality to me, but obviously he's a legend. Covering him, I grew up listening to Garth too. You can't really play Garth on Spotify during Liquid Hour because he doesn't exist on any of the.
On Spotify, yeah.
I'm gonna guess
Walmart, right?
I guess you guys don't have Amazon Music on the phone, so.
Man, I don't.
Yeah, me neither. Like Garth, come on. So, any other '90s kind of? Did you guys gravitate towards some of the '90s country, whether it's like Travis Tritt, Garth, Shania? I mean, for us, if we grew up on that, we're all similar ages.
Big Al.
Yeah, Alan. Obviously, to me, is probably my favorite of all time. George, obviously, but
did you guys love cut out in here too?
Did you guys love that genre or that period of time, the '90s?
Totally, man. I mean, whatever was playing on the radio, my parents kept a radio on the windowsill, and it was always on. I don't know why. I never asked my mom why she kept it on, but I guess it was like soothing or something. But it was always on a country station, and I mean, dude, all the names you just mentioned, Travis Tritt, you know,
Sammy Kershaw was another one.
All of them, yeah, man. Just all those, you know,
Jody Messina.
Jody Messina, yeah.
Lone Star.
Oh man,
how many lead singers have they had?
Brooks and Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn. We had Ronnie Dunn on. I was one of the most nervous I've ever been.
Sure.
And couldn't have been cooler. Just sitting there with his shades on his porch. I'm like, I wish my dad was like this with it, or my grandpa, or whoever. You know, you meet older guys, and Wes and I both said the same thing. It's like,
oh, my dad can't figure out Netflix. Like it's. And he's 60. Like he's not that old.
But have you guys met Ronnie Dunn by any chance?
No, that would
Oh,
be
man,
that would be
that
awesome.
would be like, he seems to really understand, like do his work to understand like what's coming up and who's like with it. And they did that whole album where they took in artists, kind of redo songs. Some
Yeah,
were
the
awesome.
reboot.
Yeah. Some were kind of strange to me, but that's good shit. Like I always wonder with artists like yourselves, if do you look at the 90s as like, whatever, we listened to it, but we were a different, thing. But it's good to hear that, you guys play some Garth and
Dude, I mean,
Aren't we with I think on Sunday we're in the Ozarks with Dwight Yoakam.
oh no shit.
Yeah, it was last minute opening gig with him, and we did one other show with him over in Midland, when we grew up, and the bill was actually us, Midland the band, and Dwight Yoakam, and we get done, Midland gets done, Dwight comes on, and we're stoked, right? And we're side stage. We pull out a phone just because it's Dwight Yoakam, and he's still got all the moves.
Oh yeah.
Jeans are painted
Still
on
tight.
tight, like just he's still him. And his bodyguard just comes over to me, just yoked, Jack, just presses on my shoulder. Sir, no pictures, please. And it's just straight up. They're strictly business backstage, more or less, but stuff like that. I don't even know where I came off with that story.
Remind us
here's
after.
moderation.
Yeah,
Remind
here's
us-
a moderation, right?
Remind us after. I gotta comment on that story after we hit stop recording.
Also, we were the guys from Whiskey Myers had us out to Soldier Field for their opening show for the Rolling Stones, just incredible. They put us up in a suite, just amazing. But they were like, Mick and the boys were like, you can take a picture with us, but you can't share it anywhere. Just like, we will take one picture with you. I hope it's good. Everybody eyes open, smiles big, and don't share it anywhere.
It's so bizarre to me.
Just like, I mean, I don't know, if you're just like a legend, you just have rules and you just lock it up. And I don't know, but I just,
Man, I wonder if like like you said, Garth may be a little strange to a normal person or someone that hasn't met billions of people, I guess, like I mean, it's got to change you in some way.
Sure.
Like, it's got to, like I can't take.
He's so rich and so famous. I think Tom Segura, where he started this whole bit, Wes, correct me if I'm wrong, was like Garth is so famous and so disconnected from like, if you ask him how much a beer costs, you'd be like, I don't know, 13 grand. Like, what does a beer cost? like, so it started this whole like tangent on their podcast, and then it just took on a life of it. So this is like 3 years ago.
I think there's a story too about Bob Dylan, I want to say, or maybe it is Mick Jagger. It's Mick or Bob. I could be wrong, but like in the studio recording, they give a guy like $4 and they're like, hey, go get us a bottle of whiskey. And they're like, dude, that's not what it costs anymore. Just like, no,
barometer of
haven't
reality.
actually bought a bottle of whiskey in a long time. And so Garth might be kind of in that echelon of superstar where it's
the only time he's kind of out there was, with Trisha and her show. Maybe you catch a glimpse of him cooking. She's giving him a sandwich. You're just like, oh yeah, Garcia. Everybody says he's a great guy. We never met him. He seems like a cool guy, a great guy to cover. Obviously, great songs. It sucks for people our age as fans who grew up listening to that style of music that you can't just readily listen to it.
My wife is not. She didn't grow up country. She grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Has no idea who Garth Brooks. I mean, she knows who he is, but like, she's like, oh, that woman who's got the cooking show. I'm like, but like, I don't think she's heard Garth Brooks because you can't get it anywhere unless you have Amazon Music. But it's like not available for like these people on TikTok that are coming up and they like don't know country.
They're not gonna know who Garth Brooks is.
They're never.
Somebody's gonna sing "Shameless" and they're gonna be like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Where did this come from?"
What a song.
That's like knowing Joe Rogan strictly from Fear Factor and
Oh
not
my
knowing
God,
about his
right?
podcast.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And then when that does come up, he's like, got to give the story about people drinking donkey cum. Like that ended the series, I think.
It did.
If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, great.
So it was like, he's like, this is when I realized it went too far. They were making him drink like donkey semen or something. And I was just like,
Oh my
"Yeah,
God.
that'll
Money.
do it. That'll do it. NBC,
The
good job.
next Flatland album is gonna be called Donkey Scene.
No, but it's gonna be spelled Seaman.
Yes.
Sea man.
A donkey seaman, the burrow of the sea.
Yeah.
I think we're inspiring
Guys.
greatness right now.
Well, guys, quick hour. That was a lot of fun. Super thing. Anything you want to tell the fans for what's coming up? Obviously, you guys released an album recently, but tour. Are you guys a little nervous with some of these cancellations going on? And is the plan right now just keep on keeping on, and then you kind of just let the things fall into place?
Yeah, I think we're just as we go place by place. This country's so vast as far as different communities have different laws, and we're just abiding by those local laws. You know, if we can, we can. If we cannot, you know, our management's working with us and you know helping us with socials, get that word out. But as far as we know, we don't have any shows canceled or anything like that. As far as we know, team.
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, there seems to be another batch of something, you know, going around and everyone's talking about it. It's like, you know, whenever we are not able to do this anymore for a week, a month, and definitely whatever, like we're just going to keep playing until we're not able to anymore.
Love it.
So, I mean, that's kind of really how it's, you know, at least that's the way I see it.
Well, I heard our manager, they actually got us big bubbles, like Bubble Boy, Jake Gyllenhaal. So we'll just kind of be playing in giant hamster bubbles on stage. And
That'd be cool.
Did
yeah.
you see a school did that? Like a
Who
high
did?
school, did that. I think in California, they put the band in bubbles and they were playing their instruments.
I think the Flaming Lips did that too. Couple shows.
That'd be
Yeah.
kind of dope.
What I didn't mind, I think it was in Europe though. This will be they had like little, instead of having like the whole general admission, they just put up these little fences around like little pots so you could have 6 people in it, or you had 4 or whatever. I'm like, I like that. Like I'm already like, I'm not, once you're kind of, like I said, married or whatever, you're not mingling.
You're not in the mosh pit anymore.
You want to have your little section where nobody's around you. You can kind of hang out and do it. I'm like that I don't even care that if COVID wasn't a thing. Like that's kind of cool if you can like get that in the same area where it would be the front of the stage. But
It's almost like
Everybody gets VIP.
It's like VIP, but yeah, exactly.
and Cleto, thank you for wearing the shirt, the Howdy shirt. We're available on our shop. I got my Riff County Fair shirt on here. But thanks, fellas. A lot of fun.